Hey everybody, welcome to the Rhizocast. Today we're looking at something kind of interesting and weird to me. So I had a bunch of Silver Age books that I got when I had the shop that I'm slowly selling off. And when I was flipping through this one, it has an Angel solo story that's kind of cool and interesting. So this book, Cats, Cat Attack, this book is oversized, 64 pages. It has this weird binding type. So hopefully it still can display in this as close to as well as a regular floppy. That's why I prefer floppies to the trades, because getting them full out for the camera's difficult. Anyway, here we go with a cat on edge here. So from the sky, winged wrath. Here's the angel. Stan Lee is the editor. The writer is Jerry Siegel, who of course is known as one of the creators of Superman. So that's kind of interesting. George Tusco is the artist. Dick Ayers is the inker. He's a pretty common inker at this time. This is, I think, around 1970. I'm really not familiar with this era of the X-Men at all. I've read like the first dozen issues or whatever where it's Stan Lee and Kirby, and I'm under the impression that it is good again in this era. I think this is around when Neil Adams takes it over, but I've only read the Claremont stuff after those first 6 issues. Anyway, the writing is a little bit purple prose or whatever, and it is, of course, Warren Worthington III is the angel. This outfit is really, like, to me, it's his worst outfit. There's always been something compelling about this character to me. Even before he became Archangel, there was something interesting about him. Anyway, so he's just flying around New York, and he sees a bank heist going down. He's like, normally I'd contact my team, but right now I'm in a mood to go solo. So he goes in, he beats up all these random dudes. Cops come in, and the cop's like, hey, I know you, you're that freak. And he gets mad about being called a freak, and then he's complaining about Magneto saying about humans and Homo Superior will never be able to live together in peace. But he says, I can't believe that, because the two most beloved people to me on Earth are my mom and dad, and they're both Homo sapiens. So he goes flying through the window. So I don't know if he's not, I guess he's not living at the X-Men mansion in this period of his history. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on. So he goes, and then it shows his parents don't know that he's the angel, so he has to bind up his wings and stiff them under his dress clothes. And he comes down. His dad's sick, but he's saying, no, I'm feeling much better. And then he says, just shows what smoking cheap cigars can do for the older generation. That he's insinuating that cheap cigars are what's making him better. And then this is their housekeeper, I guess. And then the angel's getting a call from his girlfriend Candy, and he's like, Dad, I want to stay home tonight. And Dad's like, nah, you go out on your date. So they go out to this place, and then here's the same villain team. This guy's called the Dazzler, but not related to the Allison Dazzler that people know from the 80s. And they don't get into it in this portion of the story. I have not read the second half of this story, and I don't know if I'll ever find it and read it. Maybe. but it's like presumably this guy's superpower that involves hypnotic lights and stuff. I'm assuming that this band is using them, though there's no real evidence of that. But it feels like, why else would it be in there? Anyway, so he's saying, you know what, I like this band and everything, but we gotta go. I'm worried about my dad. He's driving in the car and he's like, oh man, this almost feels like I could live a normal life. Oh, I forgot. So the Dazzler was sending some of his people out on a job to kill Worthington, which I assumed was going to be this Worthington, but it's not. They're after his dad, unrelated to him being the angel. I'll go ahead and spoil what isn't known in this part and is revealed in part 2. I looked it up online. Is the Dazzler is actually the angel's uncle and this guy's brother, and he didn't inherit any of the Worthington millions because the grandfather didn't like that he was involved in criminal activities, and he's scared his brother's going to rat him out, so as a villain, so he sends his goons to shoot him, and they do. And then the angel's listening to the radio, and on the radio they announce that his father was murdered. So he just parks the car, takes off, and his girl's like, I want to help you. And he goes, just get out of my life. And then he changes into the angel outfit, takes off going to try to find the people who killed his dad. And he has this part here, this regretful moment. Now that it's too late, I can think of so many unspoken words I should have told Dad. Words that might have brought us closer. And then that's pretty much the end of the emotional portion of the book or whatever. And then he's fighting these dudes. It's showing how angry he is, and I always thought of him, there was this thing where he's like, feels like he's almost useless, but he shows off some fighting skills in this. And this character that I've never heard of, who I guess was integral for the X-Men for a while, his name's Agent Duncan, and he's the coordinator of X-Men activities since X-Men issue 44. But anyway, so he just beat up these dudes, and they're and this guy's telling him to cool off. He can help him get to the leader, and he says, I don't want help. All I want is the Dazzler. My dad died because of him. He must pay for that with his own life, so swears the angel. So yeah, he's like an angel of vengeance here in this. That's it for that story. It's to be continued. I think it was the continuation is in the next issue of Kazar or whatever. But it's been reprinted in some of the trade paperback collections of the X-Men of the era. That might be easier to track down, but I just looked them up a minute ago, and I guess they're out of print right now, and so that means they're like $80, which at $80, there's no way I'll ever have that investment just to read the second half of this story. But if I see the second issue of Kazar for $5 or whatever, I think I would get it just to complete this story. I think, other than I'm sure at some point I read the first Superman issue, this might be the only Siegel thing I've read, at least knowingly. And it's fine. I mean, it's Silver Age. It definitely fits everything with it. It doesn't have too many words like I sometimes complain about. It flows well, and it makes me confused why Siegel didn't kind of have an illustrious writing career and is just known as a one-hit wonder, because I do know that he was trying to do work throughout a lot of years. I know there was a period where him and Dave Sim were supposed to do a collaboration, but it never came to fruition. So I don't really know how much work he really did, and I guess I should. Part of me not knowing more about him probably is that I don't really care that much about Superman. But anyway, I'm sure the odds of you tracking this down are low, but it's definitely cool to see this mix where the Angel is almost this Frank Miller Daredevil type of character. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you again soon.